So let's just jump into it. Alvin Garrett, the great, the phenomenal. Can you tell viewers and people that's going to be watching this interview a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm just going to first of all say I love the way you talk about me. You got me feeling real good about yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, well, I am, I'll say I'm a musician at heart. I'm a songwriter, producer, visionaries. Born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where I was raised in church, played football in high school, went to college here in Birmingham on a college scholarship, studied business management, graduated, worked corporate for about 2 years, started my own music business, left corporate, and started touring and producing, writing, and just stayed at it, been in the music business, getting close to professionally and full time about 18 years, but been making music all my life. So here I am, solo artist, Grammy nominated songwriter. So and enjoying life, man. Making the most out of a tough situation with this pandemic, just taking advantage of the slower pace of life.
Okay, we're gonna get into all of that, what you just said, believe it or not. So for starters, and you said you worked in corporate America. What made you leave corporate America to pursue singing?
Well, I actually didn't pursue singing until a little later on. But I had always wanted to run my own music business, and I worked corporate, honestly, to fund all of my dreams.
All right.
But honestly, I had started getting a lot of requests to go on crusades and travel with different churches and everything as a bass guitarist. And I literally ran out of vacation time in the summer.
Oh, wow.
I ran out of vacation time, and my boss told me, I couldn't take my last 3 days to go on this major crusade. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to resign. And he was like, huh? You're going to resign to be a musician? How you going to eat? I said, with a fork, baby. That's how I'm going to eat. I said, with a fork. Come on, man. So I turned in my resignation. And that was it. It was scary at first, I'm not gonna lie, because it was a decent job for a young man coming out of college, back in 2002. I had a good job, but I knew all along that I wasn't going to be working corporate America like forever. It was never something I saw myself doing. So I just used the money to kind of buy the equipment that I wanted to kind of jumpstart my own business on the side. So.
Wow. And they said that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. You've been doing this for 18 years. You've traveled, you've toured, you've written, like play-by-play. And you traveled with Rubben Studdard too, right? Mm-hmm. So what was that transition like getting to your now?
Well, it's been wonderful all these years. It was so funny. A lot of people that may know my history with Rubben, like I say, we were best buds before American Idol. So when we started the band here, Just a Few Cats in Birmingham, he was the lead singer of the band. I was sort of the bass guitarist, musical director, sort of the brains behind the operation. And, he goes off and tries out for American Idol by mistake, long story, but literally it was by mistake.
By mistake.
Yeah. And so, but me leaving my job inspired him to leave his job. Wow. That's when we partnered with my business, the Music Caterers, and the rest is sort of history. And from there, I truly saw, once we started touring, and this is a cool story I like to tell people, I was dreaming about going on tour in my cubicle. And then about halfway through a 52 city tour with American Idol, once Rubben won, I was the bass guitarist on that tour. About halfway through, I was ready to go home. And so it struck me. I'm like, wait a minute. I dreamed about this, a year or so ago. I've been dreaming about this moment, and here I am. I'm tired of my dream. And that's when it hit me. Find a new dream. Like once you've accomplished something, then it begins to slowly die and fade away. Mm-hmm. What keeps you alive is dreaming for something next. And that was when it first, I say the first revelation of what being a dreamer truly is about. And so from there, The rest of the tour, I just spent all my extra time learning what everybody else was doing. I would just shadow different people, the front of house engineer, the sound. I would hang out with the tour manager. I was just like, man, this is like a free college, paid experience to learn about touring. Don't just play my instrument. And so I just started talking to everybody. And that was when it hit me that, what you accomplish is only a stepping stone for what you're dreaming to accomplish. And
Right.
that was the shift for me that I know has gotten me to this point in my career, is once you accomplish it, keep dreaming. What's next? What's next? Keep evolving. So that's how I've grown from being a bass guitarist, musical director, to a songwriter, to an artist, to an executive,
Wow.
and I'm never going to stop dreaming to become and do more, because I remember the feeling of how bad I felt regretting my own dream. It's like, that was tough. That was tough, but it was a great lesson to learn at
Right.
that age.
I love that story. Dreams manifested. And
Yeah.
when you on that, it's just like you never stop. You're the type of person that's willing to learn, no matter that you are a master in your craft. I've heard you live on Zoom. You are legitimately a master of your craft. So why is that important for other artists to even if you mastered it, to continue to learn?
Just simply because, I said humans, we have this insatiability, right? That the human palate is insatiable. If I give you a 2-carat diamond, you're gonna love it for that moment, but over time, your love fades, and now you're gonna need a 4-carat diamond, right, to get the
Right.
same emotional response. And so that's just humanity. Our satisfaction fades over time. So that's why you have to live by faith. You have to continue to have faith, because if you stop striving, you're dying, right? Everything that is not, I call it on a spiritual self, the spiritual self. If you're not dreaming or living for something next, you're just simply dying. You're not going forward. You're going backwards slowly. You know what I'm saying? And so developing your craft and always striving to push past where you are is just essential, because once you get enough pats on the back,
Mhm.
you think you made it.
Right.
That's it. You're going backwards. No, may take a while.
Right.
It may
Right.
take a while for you to slow down and realize that, wait a minute, I've lost something in my success. And a lot of people never get to a point of being successful, so they don't understand how to handle it when they get there.
That's right.
And I was able to see that hands-on, even being in the shadow of my man Rubben Studdard. It's like you go from being Birmingham local artist, local musician, to famous across the world overnight. And you're
Right.
like, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I got another interview. Like, dude, are you serious? It's Rolling Stone. What are you slowing around about?
Right.
Like, well, I've done it before. Now, the same thing you dreamed about, after you do it long enough, you kind of like, man, can I reschedule this? I'm on some sleep, And so I saw that, and that's no knock on him. That's just anybody.
Right. Burning.
Anybody can get used to anything. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Which is why you have to always reach within and say, well, what's next for me? Celebrate the dream. That's what I do. Once I had that concept, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be great. And by the time you see it, it's 2 years old to me. Because
Right. It's
I've been grinding for 2 years to get here. So by the time you see it and you feel as though I've mastered something, I'm focusing on the next thing I need to master. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Woo woo. So
Woo-woo.
if I didn't get anything else, maybe not on time, but always reinvent yourself.
Oh,
I got that lesson. We
yes, yes. Right. We'll work on that time thing. We'll work on that.
are for real. So with that said, and then that just kind of catapulted you into other areas. You are an award-winning and nominated songwriter. So can we talk about that a little bit? Because that never gets old. You got young people who's like, Alvin Garrett, what did he do? Tell them what you did.
Well, I'll start by saying this. My awards came from my value on relationships, right? My greatness as a songwriter can be debated. Whatever is an opinion, honestly. But I was smart enough to connect myself with the gentleman who put me in position to win an award, right? My man
Right.
Fred Jerkins the third with Dark Child, Rodney Jerkins, super producer's brother. He's a writer, and he saw something in me in my younger self. He said, if you put in the work, he said, you could be one of the greatest songwriters I ever worked with. He said, but if you're doing this for money, if you're doing this for fame, this is not for you. He said, you got to do it for the love, and you got to love the craft. He said, because you may write tons of songs and they never get heard. But will you
Right.
keep writing? Will you keep writing? And it was his teaching and his faith in me that put me in a position to get a Grammy nomination on a placement that came from his relationship with Trin-ITee 5-7, the gospel artist. Detrick Haddon, that turned into a Stellar and a Dove Award nomination. You know what I mean? And so look at the relationships and who you can connect yourself to that can open up doors for you. It's not always about your own greatness, but it's about how can you serve in a capacity for someone that can open up a door for you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say paying your dues. I don't like to call it paying your dues. I like to call it just serving and building relationships from the perspective of, if I'm close enough to this person, I can learn from them.
That's
Right.
right.
Those relationships can transfer to you. You know what I mean? And a lot of people overlook the power of humbling themselves enough to sit close to somebody that can open a door for you that they've already been in. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my placements, a lot of my top 10 records all stem from that relationship. You know what I mean? And of course, I've done my own thing, but a lot of it came from simply being around somebody that had faith in me, that trusted me to start doing a lot of work.
Okay, another golden nugget. So full of wisdom, no doubt. So you touched on many things in just this small conversation, including humility and value. You established yourself to be valuable, trainable, and someone that's on demand. And that led you into putting out your own project. So can you tell me about that?
Oh yeah, back in just around 2010 was when I started really going hard writing a bunch of songs, and I would always send my music to my dad. He's my biggest fan, Alvin Garrett #1. I call him AG1. And he would just listen to my songs, and he said, son, why are you giving these songs away? He's like,
Oh,
why can't nobody sing them like you? And at the time I was like, whatever, I'm trying to get paid, so you send 15, 16 songs on, it starts sounding like an album to somebody that's listening,
right.
And he said, so I'm telling you, he said, you need to sing these yourself. Nobody has your passion. He said, they may sound good, but they don't have the heart that you have. And I wasn't listening at the time. And then a lot of labels that I was sending the same songs to started saying, who's the guy on the demos?
Right.
And like, who's the guy on the demo? I was like, that's me. They like, man, good stuff. This sounds like an album. And so I just kind of bought into it. I just didn't see myself as an artist at first. And then eventually I trusted my dad, and I said, let me give it a shot, and I hired a vocal coach, hired a stylist, I hired a different trainer. Like I totally remade my image. I changed everything because I was like, it's cool to be one way when you're behind the scenes, but now I'm up front, I had to change my glasses. I had these nice round nerdy looking glasses. I look probably twice as big. I mean, I'm buff now, but I was linebacker buff, like, woo.
Whoa.
I was swole, pushing 400. You know what I mean? Like that kind of swole. Yeah. So I had to I had to change my body. Like I literally had to develop myself into being a front man. It was a transformation, and that's why I feel like as an executive, I can tell people like, look, I'm telling you, I know what to do because I had to do it myself,
Right.
I had to put in the work to be able to be on an album cover, you know what I'm saying? And not look like a bass player. And so that was a process for me that was very, very, and I was not shall I say, the singer that I am now. I had to
Mm-hmm.
develop. I had natural talent, but I wasn't like born like this born amazing singer. That wasn't me. Like I put in the work, like I practiced, and I was nervous and insecure about my voice. I mean, your best friend is American Idol, Rubben Studdard. So
Right.
all you hear is about how beautiful his voice is, and the question is, why are you trying to sing? Just give him your songs. You know what I mean? And so, for me to find my own voice next to, you know, a revered voice in the music industry like my man, it was a journey for me because it didn't make sense to people. It was like, just you're such a great writer, just give him your songs. So
Right. Wow.
it took me years to get to a place where I could stand on my own on stage and be comfortable, and loving my own voice and knowing that people are receiving it. And so now when people talk about, man, you're such an amazing singer, I think back to the work I had to put in to get here.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't one of those people that's been singing since I was 4. You know,
Right.
no, I hired a vocal coach.
Okay. So you keep touching on golden nuggets.
Yeah,
So one, confidence. You got to have that.
yeah.
Number, you got to invest in yourself. Like, and with you investing in yourself, that had to be expensive. So that means you had to work twice as hard to get to where you are.
Yeah.
So, like, what is one of the lessons you learned during that scope?
You just said it, investing in yourself, and for me, it's about having what I call, those foundational core values. For those in the music business, I always say, what's your floor? What's
Mm-hmm.
your floor? What's your foundation? Like every 30 days, you got to pay bills. Every 30 days,
Right.
what's your plan? I call it building dreams with 30-day bricks, right?
Okay.
You got to have a 30-day brick. You can't move so fast trying to be famous that you humble.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so for me, I had a strategy with my music business we do those weddings and corporate gigs. So we would do all of that. And it was good business, but I'd be
Mm-hmm.
writing and working on my, I'll say, intellectual property business, the writing, the albums. But on the weekends, nights, we grinded. You know what I'm saying? Doing concerts, weddings, family reunions, fraternity, sorority parties, like playing, setting up the equipment, breaking it down, never getting, even when I started getting recognized as a writer, I didn't get so proud and say, well, I can't do a wedding no more. I'm like,
Right.
I'm making good money paying these bills. And I promised my family and the missus, when I got married, I said, look, as long as you're Garrett, I got 5 things I'm gonna promise you. That's a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on the table, health insurance, and a car to drive. As long as you got those 5 things, leave me alone over here.
Right.
I said, long as I take care of this, let me dream. See what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like, and so I've always said I'm never gonna make a decision with my dream or my music that will compromise this commitment to my wife and now 2 little girls. And so
Mm-hmm.
that has kept me grounded to not make bad decisions with my money, you know what I'm saying, but still constantly moving forward, but being okay with the more steady pace. You know what I mean? So here I am now being recognized nationally, and I don't regret my journey because along the way I stood firm on those values, and I've had all my time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all my time belonged to me and my own dream, and not, you know, just being so wrapped up in just the goal that I missed out on the foundational things. So I always tell people, have that foundation, do what you got to do to make sure that you're living a certain quality of life first for yourself. And then if you got a family, take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing worse than accomplishing something and losing everything. You know what I
That's
mean?
that's right. So that's another golden nugget. Like, you like speaking to that uncle who's gonna tell you something. It's up to you if you're gonna follow it. So I
Uncle
got
Al, there we go, Uncle Al. Come on, drop a nugget on him, Uncle Al.
all that coming in on time. So my next question, and this is just before we get into your newer projects. With humility and social media, how do you keep yourself grounded with that?
Uh, I just honestly don't buy into the hype, into the fluff of it all. I like to say I'm an analog guy. I like people. I like in the old days shaking hands,
Right.
touching shoulders like
Better
human.
not tell somebody's shoulder right now.
Yeah, I know, right? But I'm saying it's a digital touching. You know what I'm saying? Just realness. You know what I mean? A lot of people buy into, and I get it, because if you're trying to get put on by these labels, and first thing they're gonna do is check the numbers. What kind of numbers that person got? Right. And I bought in at first and I was like, oh, let me fluff my numbers up, because nobody's gonna look. Your numbers look like right. And people do look. But the problem is, but if there's no substance there, and it's just a hot air balloon, you still got nothing. It looked like you got right. So my thing was, I'm like, I want my stuff to be real. And the truth of the matter is, at least for me, I have way more people that know my music than know me. It's more people that have heard my music in this country than can identify me. That's just been my challenge. So I'll tell people, I was like, you look at my numbers, it'll fool you. They are a lot lower than my impact, right? I agree. Right now, my next part of my journey, like doing stuff like this, is connecting the dot to my story. I'm trying to connect the dots of my name and face to the music I've written all these years, and to what people have heard here. And so I feel like, man, once I collect all my fans who love my music, I may have 100,000 followers at that point.
Right.
You know? And so that encourages me not to, like, just don't get discouraged when people say, well, his numbers ain't. I'm like, hey, just hang tight.
Right.
Stories are written over time, not overnight. Like, just chill out. We'll get there. I know what we're working toward. They may not see it just because they're looking for the metrics. And so for social media, I make sure that I say exactly what I want to say.
Right.
Oftentimes, I always think twice and 3 and 4 times about what I say, to make sure that my messaging is always consistent top to bottom. Because people, once they discover you, they scrolling. That's right. And they looking for you to have a bad day. Right. Oh, yeah, he said something about this.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, he said this back in 2009. He's not real. So, I tell people all the time, I say, man, you talking to people that's talking back. You got to think about the people that ain't saying nothing.
That's right.
What are they thinking? The ones, that don't agree with you.
Right.
Your worldview may be so narrow that you're missing out on the people, that may not, just agree with your narrow point of view. So I try to stick to my core values with social media, and not get into the hype fluff of it all, and just get to talking back and forth, debating just for engagement. I'm like, man, I'm working, making money while y'all sitting there taking pictures of your dinner, Like, okay. I don't care what you eating today. I don't care what you ate,
Mine look better anyway. But
right.
Funny that you say that, because even with working relationships, and I don't think the younger, or I won't even say younger, social media has a misconception about what's popular, what's not. And it's not all about the numbers. My website may have more views than Instagram. That's number one. Number 2, I am one of those people that I go down your page to see who you're working with, how you work, and what your character is like, because it's character within those words. And if you're doing much on social media, I'm not going to work with you, because, hey, you're a brand. And if your brand is not good and it's not going to measure up to my brand, we can't work together.
That's
so
right.
I love that you put that out there, but you have some artists that won't agree with that. But that's why you make the money, the big bucks, your humility, and you have social media etiquette. So I think it's important to have social media etiquette, in your opinion.
Absolutely. You got freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom from consequence.
Right.
Words are powerful. Especially as a writer, every word matters. You know what I'm saying? And I tell my team, anybody that's coming on my team, I lay out to them what my values are, what I stand on issues, what I'm saying? And then sometimes, and I'm very sensitive when I take the controversial stance, because I do believe that with social media, your First Amendment rights are under assault. Not just that's your First Amendment rights, because there's such great punishment for people not agreeing with you, right? It's like, oh, I don't agree with you, I ain't gonna listen to your music no more. So that, to me, is an assault on the most important value of being an American, is being able to speak your mind. And that's where this frustration comes from with people every day feeling like you got to walk on eggshells, not to offend anybody. So, I always try to make sure that I stay as close to empathy as possible when I'm speaking my mind, to say, well, how is this going to impact somebody else without me compromising my point of view? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And that's for every issue. And I think it through. So if you would have asked me something off the cuff, I hope I've already discussed with myself what my answer would be. And that's about gay rights, religion, Black Lives Matter. I think about as much as I can and say, what would you say if somebody asked you this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a part of being prepared for media as well as social media.
Right. Well, we're called politically correct. I mean, I've been told that, oh, you've given a politically correct answer. And I'm like, well, no, that's how I honestly feel. But I'm not going to get in too deep about something that has nothing to do with me, unless it's something that I genuinely care about. Now, if I care, I'm going to put it out there, but I'm going to word it in such a way that it's not offensive, because I have people on both sides, but you're going to know I felt some type of way about this particular topic.
That's right.
So I like that out too. See, you're just so smart. Hand clap.
You gotta think these things through, man. I'm telling you.
And then since you said that, that brings me to my next question about your newest project, The Awakening.
Yes. Well, The Awakening was just my personal response to this year, the pandemic, post George Floyd, shall I say, and so social media. Like, I literally sat back and
Sorry.
I literally sat back and just sort of watched and listened to the responses, and you see, the rhetoric, and I was like, man, people need to like wake up. It was just so much about what was going on that I was like, I'm going to make an album about what I want to say. I'm not joining in the rhetoric and this back and forth. I'm not doing that. I'm going to speak through my music. And so something's different this time, which was the lead off single that did fairly well. It's just literally, I sang what everybody was thinking. Like, wait a minute, what is going on? Why are we getting so much response to George Floyd's death when we didn't get it with Philando Castile or all these, from, I'll say, people that have been blinded to this type of travesty? And I just sang my question, like, what is something different this time? But and that began my journey into the awakening to find out the answers to the questions that I had, like, what's different? And that's where I discovered, it starts in the heart, and 2/5, just a perspective about, this relationship of Black America, you know what I'm saying? And why George Floyd mattered so much more than the others. And I think it was because it was animal cruelty on display. And let me say this, and I say this to people, and they say, huh? I said, and I had to pray about this. I said, why do they care? When I mean people that did, why do they care? And my neighbor said something to me, and she was showing concern, and it was very genuine. She's a white lady. And she said, I saw that. And she said, no living creature should ever die that way. And she was genuinely hurt because she saw a living creature suffocated. She said, I don't care. She said, no living creature should ever die that way.
Right.
And I didn't get it. Like, I'm not a creature.
Right.
Man. But you wouldn't do, white people wouldn't do any animal that way. A dog, a lion, strangling an animal is animal cruelty.
Right.
Typically, when you want to put an animal down, what you do? Shoot it.
Shoot it. Yeah.
But there's no emotional response to shooting the animal. That's how they're scary. Pow. All the other ones been shot.
Right.
But to see one suffocated like that with a knee, and that's like, whoa, it registered as animal cruelty. And so they responded differently with this pandemic. Everybody slowed down. I was like, whoa.
Right.
Which means they don't see us as fully human, which was where my song Two Fists came from. Why don't you see I'm fully human? Don't compare me. And that's, like I said, and I love my neighbors, like she's sweet as she can be, but
Right.
don't compare me to any living creature. I'm just
Right.
as human as you.
Human. Right.
I'm human. And so,
Yeah.
so it was, that was an awakening for me. Like I couldn't answer that question until I got a sort of inspiration through what she said. Like, whoa, we're being compared to any living creature, like in a category of other animals, you know,
Right.
and just put them down. Boom. It's in my songs. If I move a little fast, I might get a little blast, and you won't even try to repair me. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? That dehumanization of Black males and Black females in this country over time is like we are 3/5 human in the minds of America. So I had to awaken to that realization that this time it was different because of the animal cruelty factor. It's
Mm-hmm.
no living creature should die that way. Just shoot them.
Right.
And I hate to say that, but
Right.
yeah, that's kind of what happened with Mr. Blake. You know, shot him in the back 7 times. I'm like, oh, back to business, you know?
Right. Right.
Because it was bullets and it wasn't this. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Right.
And that broke my heart. That broke my
Right.
heart to have to even see it that way. And people, if you listen to my album and listen to the song Two Fists, you'll see how that manifests in song for me.
Wow. Well, you know, that's being desensitized because it's been such a norm to see Black people getting shot like that. And the cruelty behind the knee and the neck is just like, well, we got to hold them accountable. Like, people gonna be mad if we don't speak up now. So, but that just goes back to Ahmaud Arbery, where there wasn't enough outrage about that. It was some, but not enough outrage, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I love that you did your songs about that, and it translated in such a way to where it's not you're on the side of right. That's number one. You have a question that needs answering. That's number two, and nobody's gonna take offense to it. And then the way that you sing, that's like such a bluesy R&B.
Yeah, yeah.
Which brings me into the next topic. Are you there? Sorry.
I'm here, no problem.
Night.
Come on back.
So tell me about your Christmas song.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna tell you, it's not an actual Christmas song.
Wow. Okay.
It is a song.
It is a song.
It is a song. My gift to you is it's a love song, and honestly, I just felt like I wanted to lighten the mood. I was like, let me just lighten the mood a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Put some love in the air. And the only reason it was relevant for the holiday season is because I said holiday, every day's like a holiday, and make you happier than a kid on December 25th. Like, I wouldn't mean the actual December 25th. Like, I'm gonna make my woman happier than a kid on December 25th.
Right.
And that's a 365 day of the year kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. So when Christmas is over, they're gonna play this song going into anniversaries, going into Valentine's, birthdays. It's just, you are the gift. Be the gift to your woman or to your lover or whatever. You know, your heart, your mind, your time. That's the best gift you can give. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the economics of holidays and miss out on being the holiday. You know what I'm saying? The experiences of the one you love, the laughter, the conversations, you know, those intrinsic things that last a lifetime. You know what I mean? That's what this song is about. So are you going to play it? You going to play it, or you going to try to make me sing it again?
I would like to sing it again, but we're, you know, listen, I know you got stuff, you got the kids waiting. So
no, they don't bother me with that at work. Now they've been trained properly.
And there was a part, because I'm thinking unwrapping, it was an unwrapping part in that song when you did live. So I'm like, okay. And that's
I like that. I like that. Unwrapping, baby.
Definitely traditional R&B, blues. It's very, like, your vocals are very bluesy, and one would think that you came out the womb singing that way, but you did not. So if you could just hit a little tune for the people that's going to watch this interview, that would be dope.
Okay,
I
you
know
want?
you got it.
Oh, of course. Now you want it. The question is, you want it with the music or you want it Acapulco? You know what I'm saying?
Man, come on, stunners.
Stunners. Uh, this is my gift to you. Whatever you need, you can have it in me. It's my gift to you. Love and you. This is my gift to you. Whatever you need, you can have it in me. It's my gift to you. My gift is love and you. Yeah.
Snaps. Listen, you need to be a resident over there in Vegas with that voice. It fits. Yes.
Yeah.
Look, from yes to yes. But oh, thank you so much. Because I think, you know, the type of artist you are, I won't say undervalued, but people don't know what it takes to be of your caliber. Like I said, you've mastered everything. And the fact that you can sing that in the way that you sing it without breaks, because some people just have it like you got too many instruments just control vocals, and you're like, nah, I'm going to sing this without the music. This is what we're going to do tonight, sis.
Let's go.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank
What
you.
other projects are you working on?
Well, that's the lead single for a project I'm looking to release first quarter called The Lightness of Love. LOL. Love should be light. Float on it. You know what I'm saying? I think
Right.
a lot of times we think about love and relationships. You hear about heartbreak and the heaviness of it. But this project is about just listening to love music that makes you feel like you're floating. You know what I mean? Writing it in a way which I think R&B mastery, I like that word you're using, is when you can sing about a grown folks topic in front of your kids.
Right.
And it's okay. You know, I'll use the example Mustang salad. You know, Mustang salad. Nobody knew we talking about that, girl who was getting around laying it down with a little too many folk, you know, slow it down, Mustang salad, but people kids hear a car. You talking about a car. So they can sing it, but it's coded. And so even in my song, hold on to the packaging, if only for your eyes, I'm being kind of grimy, the truth be told.
But
But
it's art.
but it's slick because the kids think of Christmas gifts, packaging, pretty packaging, but your lady know what you're talking about. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that type of R&B music where you're considering younger ears so that they can grow into the poetry of the music. You know what I mean? So I'm really focusing on that with this project, saying things in a way that my children can listen to the music, but not get the innuendos. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The mystery, the mystery of romance.
There you
Yeah.
go. And that is a lost art now because I honestly feel like people lazy with their writing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Let's just talk about sex. Okay, girl, I'm gonna lay it down and knock the headboard off. Oh yeah. Okay, and take your clothes off, turn off the lights, drink some wine. And that's it. Okay,
It.
that's it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So that's the scope of the vocabulary with a lot of artists. I ain't knocking them. People buy it, people love it. I can write that way if I choose to. However, I like to stretch it out a little bit. Show a little
Right.
intellect in my R&B. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just like, when people say, for instance, you're showing too much on social media, you need to have some mystery about yourself. And that's the same thing with R&B. You can figure it out, but you're not blatant with it. So I love that about your songs.
And that's like I say, that is more of a traditional R&B thing, because
Mhm.
that's from the good old days. We're like, hey man, that ain't cool to just come out and say that. Although it's like people can say whatever now, it's still slick. You know what I mean? I like to say it's slick, man. That was slick, brother.
Right.
Got an
On
old soul.
Also on the lines of like Dirty Diana type with Michael Jackson. Nobody else could pull that off but MJ. And
Yes.
you do it, but when you think about messaging, it could go both ways and everybody can listen to that song. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have your own production company, yes?
I do. The name of my entertainment company is called Hill Entertainment, HILL, all caps. And it stands for hope, inspiration, love, and loss. Because of hope, I have the inspiration to pursue what I love at the risk
Mm,
of loss. You can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an L. You know,
okay.
you can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an L. So that company, that name summarizes what we talked about at the beginning of this conversation, which
Mhm.
is keep climbing. That's my slogan. Keep
Oh.
climbing. Don't ever stop climbing that hill. You know,
Mhm.
that faith, that hope that inspires you to pursue what you love every day at the risk of loss. You might not make it today, but if you keep climbing, you'll make it tomorrow. And so that's what I stand for with my production company. Everything that I do embodies that messaging. Anybody I work with, I'm like, yo, you can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an L. If you're scared, I can't get down with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Right.
care how much talent you got. Fear is not a part of this equation. You know, so when I'm making music, I'm very strategic and meticulous on the business side, but I know there's always going to be a level of risk and a potential of loss. But that's a part of the story. That's the part of the hill. Is that
Mhm.
loss you take? Is that story that you walk away with that makes you great? You know what I mean?
Right.
That pain you feel of rejection leads you to write songs about what it feels like to be rejected, and it helps
Right.
you connect to people who know what it feels like to be rejected. But if you've never felt it, you can't write about it with this pain
Right.
connection. So I embrace my losses. That's a part of my formula, and I've had my share of them. You know,
Right.
so that's what Hill Entertainment is all about.
I love it. So thank you so much. I'm gonna close this out because you blessed me with your vocals. So we're good
Okay,
to go tonight.
so you're
I want
good now, huh?
yes, leave our viewers with your social media handles and how, like, if somebody, are you willing to work with new artists coming in the game? Like, what is the requirements to work with you, or what are the requirements?
Well, I will say right now, I always say I give people my social media information as the Alvin Garrett on Instagram and Facebook are the two that I actually engage on. Instagram and Facebook, the Alvin Garrett, and my website, alvingarrett.com. Um, in terms of working with artists, right now I'm definitely doing it in a limited fashion because a lot of my time has been allocated to uh, my charitable work with reentry program that I work with here called
Oh.
Dannon Project with my
Mhm.
songwriting program. And so I've been working with, troubled youth, young men coming in and out of the justice system who are aspiring to get their life together. And the music development has been a major part in helping them rehabilitate and get back into life. So that takes a lot of my time, but I'm always open to work with artists and advise, consult, but I don't take on every project like, like, oh, I'm writing for anybody.
Right,
Just
right, right,
because to be honest, it's just the business is really topsy-turvy right now. And so
right,
it sounds good to be like, yeah, I'm working with such and such, I'm working with such and such, but you getting paid? You making any money?
right.
You know,
Facts.
so I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I always say ask,
Mhm.
and no is an okay answer sometimes.
Right.
I have to get told no a lot. So I
A
never
lot.
tell people to, because I may give somebody a piece of advice that could change the total course of their career. You know what I mean? Just by giving them, say, I can't right now, but try this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So um I always say people reach out, ask questions, and if it's something I can't do, I'm always respectful in saying, well, I'm not available to do something, and maybe I can point somebody in the right direction, depending on what it is. Uh,
Right.
mhm.
That you don't stretch yourself and you know the value in no.
You,
So
yeah, you have to, you have to. Yeah, it's a hearing no is valuable, and being able to say no is valuable as well.
it is. So and before I close this out with the reentry program, how is it with a select group, or how can people get in contact with you about that?
Well, it's called the Dannon Project, and our website is dannonproject.org. And we're based here in Birmingham, Alabama. But we
Mhm.
service specific counties based on our federal guidelines and the grants that we have.
Mhm.
South Carolina, a couple of counties here in Alabama, even expanding out into Houston. And so always open to, people giving, right? If they
Mm-hmm.
donate to the Dannon Project. Matter of fact, we just did our Christmas concert where people can go on their Facebook page at the Dannon Project and see me perform live this weekend, live stream concert. And we raised almost $5,000, on a live stream, which is pretty good. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? Yeah, it's pretty good, and we also get a lot of sponsorship and donations from the business community here because we do such great work and make such impact. And
mhm.
in terms of the songwriting class, I'm speaking with our local school department about infusing it into the arts programming, and as well as a fundraising model to raise money for our suffering arts programs in schools. So honestly, I'm just sort of taking my time, as opposed to just doing it for just other writers. I'm more so saying, how can I use this innovative program to embellish our, this particular population, as well as our school kids who really need creative engagement in the arts. So that's where I am now. And eventually I'll do paid seminars and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I'm in a give back phase right now. I'm being honest. I just want to do it in a way that I feel really helps people, not just trying to make money. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you got to do that. But that's the phase I'm in.
Okay, I can dig it. I love it. So again, thank you so much for your time and helping work out the kinks. Like where they do that at over there.
Yes, come on. They call me the delivery man. Come on, work it out.
Yes. So leave those social media handles one more time.
Yes, on Instagram and Facebook, that's the Alvin Garrett. And my website is alvingarrett.com. Hit me up. I love to respond. And humble, just, happy to be heard, because people don't owe you their ear. They really don't. So I'm just grateful for anybody that gives me their attention.
Well, your ear, like the music that you give, it's good for the ears. It's good for the soul.
Good
You're
for
not out.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate your time, and happy holidays to you and all your
Happy
viewers.
holidays. Thank you.